Thank you for checking out crypto.chartguys.com, the source for technical analysis in the cryptocurrency world. We are proud to announce our own crypto alert system designed to give you the most critical technical trading information possible no matter where you are. Keep your eyes on the market with mobile or email alerts for MACD crosses, RSI levels, and even inside bar alerts for dozens of coins across multiple exchanges. New features and proprietary ChartGuys indicators are already in development. Our alert system is very easy to customize and utilize, so don't hesitate to sign up for the most effective crypto trading tool on the market at crypto.chartguys.com. Hello crypto friends, hope you're doing well. Going to be looking at the big three here to wrap up the week, and since this is the end of the week when we released our addition to the cryptocurrency course, here's a discount code for 10% off of that course, and then we're going to stop talking about it for a while. So there's a limited number of those, and we'll do about a dozen of them, and going to dish out some free courses as well. That's my do good things for today. Already been doing that, and I love being able to do that. Just click some buttons and give someone access to a course and give them the potential information to then be on a path to financial independence themselves. So let's start it off now with the technical analysis, and I'm starting on the 15-minute time frame because this is the pattern that had me exiting all of my long-term positions. I swung a 40% cash position. I exited 60% on the initial bull move, and then I held as long as the hourly higher lows hold. I was going to maintain my positions. That was my game plan. So every time we set an hourly higher low, I would move my stop loss up, and then I would get stopped out if we would break it, but we kept holding it, kept seeing higher lows and higher highs in continuation, and I exited the last of my position up above this resistance or this support line. And what stood out to me was what I posted on Twitter. If you're not following on Twitter, look up the Chart Guys on Twitter. It's actually ChartGuys at ChartGuys. But it was this bearish reversal head and shoulders pattern where we had the left shoulder and the head. And when I posted the chart, it was about, I drew this and it was about right here when it started forming. And I said the pattern's very early. It's an early formation. I'm keeping an eye on it. I've already exited at this point because I saw this pattern forming and I looked at the gains that I had on the trade and saw that it was a month maker and said, all right, I'm done with this trade. So I exited 90% of my position, kept 10%, and then exited the 10% once we lost these higher lows. So I was exiting in anticipation of the head and shoulders pattern. Normally I would have just waited to get stopped out, but it was very clear on the higher low pattern because it had been intact for so long. It was clear that once it broke, a lot of stop losses would likely be around that level. And also for the fact that, again, I liked the gains. I don't care. I leave money on the table all the time in trades. I don't try and nail the bottom and time the top. I know that's not possible to do all the time. I like the meat in the middle of the trade. And if I'm happy with my gains, I'm locking them in and then patiently waiting for the next trade setup. So I exited most of my position. We did break support, and the timing was right on cue. CNBC right here starts talking about drugs and cryptocurrency. It looks too orchestrated. It probably was orchestrated. And at this point, I am playing this oversold bounce, and I am break even and scaling out at break even because the bounce did not play out as anticipated. Started my initial position at 7,880 down here, added at 7,840, and I'm scaling out literally as we speak. I have my sell orders being hit because it's a lack of a bounce, and I want to do other things. I don't want to watch this play try and play out. So small gain on that play if it continues up in the upper 7,800. So let's get back to the long-term picture. So here on the daily chart, we're forming a bearish reversal candlestick, and that's no huge red flag. Again, we just ran an insane amount in a short period of time. So now we have a higher low and a higher high on the daily. Now we just need to keep that up. We need another higher low and higher high. Best case scenario for the bulls would be to form a bull flag. Best case scenario would be to hold the exponential moving averages and see this 12 period cross the 26 period to the upside in a bull move. So that's what the bulls are looking for. I'm going to be watching volume very closely on this consolidation. The bulls want the least amount of bear volume, the better. But because of this spike in bear volume, although looking on the whole, it's not a huge bear volume dump. So that's a good sign overall. We are still holding 4-hour higher lows. That's another point worth noting. That pattern has not broken yet. So even though we look at that daily time frame and see that big upper wick of profit taking, I always have to zoom in and find more details and say, do we still have an uptrend? And I need to, in the middle of this, hop on the other computer to set some other sell orders because this bounce is getting a little bit more momentum than anticipated. So that's nice. Ended up anticipating break even, but looks like we'll get small profit, some taco money. Taco money from the bounce. One moment here. I'll be back in a second. All right. So we still have a 4-hour high or low, and that is giving the bulls some hope. And the uptrend is still intact. So I can see the daily big bearish reversal candlestick and say, all right, well, not all hope is lost because we are still maintaining higher lows. The last higher low was 7,760, and it wasn't even really a higher low. It was just sideways inside bar, but that's our next support level that we're watching, and it is still holding at this point. So the bounce is trying to play out. It's still struggling. It's not a strong bounce by any means. The 5-minute time frame needs to see a break of 7,912. That's a double top on this bounce. You can see the 5-minute time frame rejected twice, and here we are rejecting it again. So the bounce isn't going anywhere unless we get over those levels, and I was fortunate enough to just get some coins off at 7,909, literally the top. That was my order filling just now while I was talking. So where we stand overall, 4-hour uptrend is still intact. If we lose the 4-hour uptrend, we'll be looking at daily consolidation. The daily chart needs to form a higher low. We need to see declining bear volume, healthy consolidation. Ideal scenario would be for the bulls to hold 7,500. Just visually looking at that level, I would say we could still form a bull flag and still be strong if we can hold 7,500 support on this consolidation. Where we stand on the weekly time frame, still looking for the bulls to play out. We need another daily higher low and higher high for the price to be getting to the mid to upper 8,000 range where we are looking for this equilibrium to tighten. So that's still entirely possible over the next week or two. That's what we're going to be looking for. And that's pretty much where we stand right now. Have to be cautious of an hourly bear flag on this bounce attempt because there's not a whole lot of strength behind it. If it is an hourly bear flag, then just like that 15-minute bearish reversal head and shoulders that we looked at, we could be looking at one forming here with our left shoulder, our head, and then if we bounce a little bit and then come back down and break this neckline of support, we will then lose another uptrend and start to shift back down to see some further weakness. So essentially, the bears have a lot of momentum short term right now. The longer term trend, we are looking for the bulls to hold on. Unless we see some bearish news, I am anticipating some healthy consolidation. Because of the magnitude of the breakout, a higher low should be very easy. Because even if we pull back to 7,000, that's still a daily higher low. Obviously, the bulls don't want to see that much of a pullback. Again, 7,500 is ideal. But just keeping the perspective, we could definitely pull back significantly, but still be fine on the daily time frame to try and form the higher low and higher high. Once we get that higher high, the next target, if we can break 8,220, we'll be up at 9,174. So there is space to get up to the upper $8,000 range. Ethereum was a bit of a heads up today on this bear break. Let's look real quick on the 15-minute time frame. Look at this flush and stop losses trigger, and it only happened on GDAX. Same thing, it was the bearish reversal head and shoulders pattern. And I got the magnet on, so it's looking all wonky. But once we broke the neckline of support, we lost the higher low pattern. The bears took over, and we saw an all-out dump. This dump did not happen on Bitcoin. So this dump was at, let's see, it was at 3:15 p.m. Eastern on the 15-minute time frame. 3:15 p.m. Eastern was right here on Bitcoin. So obviously, no clear dump, but after the dump and the bounce, Bitcoin dumped 15, 20 minutes later. So again, it was almost like a heads up on Ethereum. Ethereum led the way on this bounce, and then it led the way on that pullback. So that's definitely having me start to look at Ethereum for some potential clues on early signals. Daily time frame, bearish reversal, gravestone doji. So same thing. Everything that I just said for Bitcoin applies here. We're looking for a pullback. We will form a daily higher low. We have so much space to do it in. Anything above, 400 is a higher low. Ideal scenario for the bulls, they want to hold 450 to be looking their strongest in a potential bull flag. Same thing with the exponential moving averages. Look at the last time. When's the last time we had a bull cross of the daily exponential 12 and 26 period? And the answer is all the way down here when the price was at 300. So that would be significant if we could form a higher low and a higher high and see that exponential moving average cross. Again, the weekly chart is nowhere near changing this trend. We're going to have to bounce and set a lower high, then a higher low and a higher high to change the weekly trend. That's not happening anytime soon. It's going to take at least a month to play out. It's just looking at the daily chart at this point. Can we continue forming higher lows and higher highs? So we need declining bear volume on consolidation. The 4-hour chart, the last support level is down here at 481.18. And if that level breaks, we're looking at the next 4-hour higher low of 451.70. We are holding exponential supports on the 4-hour time frame right now. Let's check back in on Bitcoin. Haven't even tested those exponential supports, and I was using the 12 and 26 period exponential support on this time frame. Well, I was using this to stay in my position because we started pulling back and it was red hour after red hour. It looked like healthy consolidation, and I knew I wanted to stay in. And the fact that this exponential moving average was nowhere near the price right now was a reason I stayed in, because I thought, all right, we usually hold that support level when we're in a strong uptrend. I'm going to be looking for the bulls to hold this exponential support the first test and see at least a little bit of continuation. And that's what ended up happening when we finally touched it. The bulls had a really bullish reaction off of it. We grinded and continued to hold it, and then it fell through. So I am still watching those exponential moving averages on the 4-hour time frame. And here on Ethereum, we just bounced right off of it at the low of this dump. So the bounce trying to play out on Ethereum. Here's the hourly time frame. Again, same potential setup for another bearish reversal head and shoulders pattern, something that's very early in development. It just stands out to me, so it's something I keep an eye on. If we see a weak bounce attempt with no follow through and we fall back down and break support, which is the low of the current dump, it's going to shift momentum further in favor of the bears. So that is a pattern that I'm going to be keeping an eye on from here on out. Checking in on Litecoin to wrap it up, the daily chart, still weak. We did not break. I know we bounced more. It's a bit of a tricky situation because we bounced more and had a stronger candlestick on April 3rd, but we're struggling to get back to that level. And as far as I'm concerned, there is no clear bull break. I mean, we broke one resistance level on Litecoin, but we don't have any clear daily bull break that has any kind of the same impact that the Bitcoin and Ethereum charts currently have. So our lower high was just set at 133.50. Same thing, we have to form a higher low. It's just not, I mean, we're under exponential resistances. It's just nowhere near as strong as the other names on the daily chart. And it's definitely concerning if you are in Litecoin comparative to those other names where we stand. So we have a support level here on the 4-hour. It's 124. If that level is lost, 119.03. Let's see if that hourly chart has the same head and shoulders setup, and it does. Again, the right shoulder has not formed yet. It is very premature to be acting on this pattern. It just stands out to me. So I'm pointing it out to you all, just like I did earlier today on the 15-minute time frame, and it ended up playing out. And just watching for a shift from higher lows and higher highs to lower highs and then lower lows on the longer term time frames, which would indicate, all right, we are in consolidation mode. There's no doubt about it. And now we're seeing further consolidation on the daily time frame. If we see this pattern play out that I'm pointing out, that means the daily time frame needs to pull back and establish a higher low. Seeing the bounce on Litecoin on the shorter term time frames. Looking to see how it's playing out at this point. Still weak, still a lower high. And I am getting further filled on my Bitcoin position as Bitcoin is at the high of the bounce right now. So I'm scaling out of that bounce attempt. Again, just to go over that really quickly, it was just about managing positions where I entered initially at 7,880. And then I saw a lack of a bounce following through. I did set a couple sell orders and I got a small portion off. Actually, it ended up being about half of my position. I got off just over 7,900, seeing that it was a weak bounce and wanting to protect myself and lower my cost basis by getting a little bit out. Then it tightened up. And I said, all right, if it drops down, the 15-minute RSI is still oversold and approaching 20. So I will exit at, or I should say I will re-enter on another leg down. And I entered, I had an order at 7,841, 7,821. So lower that cost basis, drop my average down in terms of where my break-even point is. And here I am now getting profit, scaling out the last position of my order. So ended up with some small gains. And again, that was just trade management. I was looking for the bounce initially. It didn't happen. The 5-minute RSI was really oversold. It was a scenario where the RSI got more extended because of the news behind it. And the news was CNBC giving their same old filth out of their mouth about drugs and cryptocurrency. We've all heard it before. So that's where we stand. Right now, we have a oversold bounce playing out. I'm 7,955 right now, scaling out the last of my position, just filled. And I am going to be patiently waiting at this point. I will be looking for a potential opportunity on a daily high or low. If the hourly chart gets oversold, that could be a point to start looking for a daily oversold or daily higher low to form. So that's where my mindset is. I'm back to all cash right now and patiently waiting, and perfectly fine patiently waiting. I'm in no rush. Let the trades come to you. Bears right now are in control, and if we can see an hourly higher low and higher high from this recovery, that will still keep the 4-hour higher low pattern intact for these bulls. So let's not lose sight of that. It's not game over on this initial bull run here just yet. We have to see a lower low breaking the low of this dump in order for the bears to have any kind of confidence in the short term. So I appreciate you watching. I hope you all have a great rest of your weekend. We'll check back in tomorrow, and I'll probably go live on Sunday for that altcoin coverage. Thanks again. Continue to do good things. We'll see you soon.